Good afternoon. My name is Delmer Sib, and today I'm going to be presenting about another beautiful day in San Antonio, which is a celebration that occurs the second week of June in San Antonio, Cayo, every year. San Antonio is a Yucatec Maya community that is struggling to keep its Maya identity, traditions, language, and culture alive. This presentation recapitulates the efforts of a group of cultural activists who, in 2018, decided to revive the San Antonio Day celebration. This paper argues that another beautiful day in San Antonio is an effort to promote Maya identity and community. It demonstrates that the array of interrelated activities in the festivity support the creation of local and supra-local Maya identity. According to oral history, the San Antonio Day celebration had both religious and traditional origins that drew on specific cultural expressions, traditions, religious practices, and the community. To date, no one has recorded the historical development of the celebration in San Antonio. I will provide an overview of the celebration, pinpointing key dates and developments, but I must clarify that I have not conducted an in-depth analysis of the subject matter. Despite different perspectives on the historical celebration, the festival brought together cultural legacies, ethnographic material, and folklore that were connected to the collective identity in San Antonio. The San Antonio Day celebration was intricately connected to the Catholic Church. It was an expression of the nexus between Maya traditions and identity and the religious practices imposed by the colonizers. When the Spanish Empire conquered areas in Yucatan and Mexico, they instituted a system of forced conversion to Catholicism. The Spanish crown utilized forced relocations, the encomienda system, and violence to convert non-believers. Timoteo Mesh points out that the crown also authorized the mistreatment of non-Christians as a tactic to convert the Maya. As a result, many Maya in the region converted to Catholicism, and a process of merging Maya spirituality, culture, and traditions with Catholic beliefs commenced. Alfonso Zul notes that by 1847, Catholicism as practiced alongside Maya religion had affected the manner in which many things were done and viewed. He adds, the Maya religion also lost quite a few of its rites and practices. We also cannot ignore that festivals were used by the colonial enterprise to convert non believers. Therefore, we can conclude that the practices in the San Antonio Day celebration were a merge between Catholicism and traditional Maya beliefs, in some way a product of colonialism. In his analysis of Maya Masewals in San Antonio, Alfonso Zul argues that by the 1870s, a Catholic priest had urged the villagers to change the village's name from Oshmultun Kakab to San Antonio. Mr. Zul, an oral historian, described the celebration as since the village was named San Antonio and St. Anthony was supposed to have been born on June 13th, the Masewal decided to celebrate that day. However, in their own way, they developed a 1 week feast which begins on June 4th and ends on June 13th. The feast consists of prayers, eating, and of course drinking, spiced with a few bouts now and then. Mr. Zul's analysis indicate the merge between Catholic celebration and Maya traditions. The Maya Masewals in San Antonio practiced dances, music, and other traditions linked to the Maya civilization while celebrating a Catholic feast. Oral accounts also specify that the celebration hosted people from the region who came to stay for the celebration at the houses of their relatives or friends. In the 1800s and 1900s, the Maya communities in the Cayo district included a network of believers who visited the different villages for the celebration of the saints. In the 1950s and 1960s, the influx of Pentecostals into the community marked a decline of the Catholic population in the village and a challenge to the San Antonio Day festivity. Protestants cataloged the activities surrounding San Antonio Day as an expression of Catholicism and resisted participation. In addition, they demonized many of the Maya Masawal traditions. Arguably, the Protestant rise in the community led to the slow decline of the San Antonio Day festivity. Recently, Jose and Javier Magana organized the celebration for many years up to 2010. The Magana brothers incorporated various cultural dances, traditions, music, and mechanical rites to the festivity they deemed community fair. Unfortunately, religious, economic, and political factors caused the end of the community celebration. However, Catholic religious celebrations of the day continue up to today. In 2018, a group of young cultural activists met to discuss the revival of the festival in San Antonio. In the first meeting, the group recognized the current context in San Antonio with over 8 years without a community day, language loss of traditional culture, and a lack of pride in being Maya. The group decided to redefine the San Antonio Day festivity by renaming it a Day in San Antonio in 2018 and another beautiful day in San Antonio in 2019. The rationale behind changing the name was to show continuity, relate to the younger generations, and attract participation from most stakeholders. The prime aim was to revive the celebration with a redefined and modern agenda. Though these were the prime objectives, the celebration also had a secondary goal of bringing economic activity into the village. In a globalized society, the group believed that Maya continuity could be achieved through the promotion of identity, community, and place identity. The events highlighted key aspects of the village, brought people together, and most importantly, it promoted pride in being Maya. As a supra-local festivity, the festival allowed the Maya of San Antonio to connect with the national Yucatec Maya movement in Belize. So why a festival? The coordinators of the event operated from the hope of bringing back Maya identity and develop community sentiments in San Antonio. Identity became an important arena to contest the loss of Maya traditions and culture. But why a festival? There are practical justifications, such as we all have families and work. But rather, many discussions focus on the value of a festivity for the promotion of identity itself. The event had a strong ethos around the idea of answering who are we? Where are we? What does it mean to be Yucatec? And what does it mean to be a Yucatec Maya of San Antonio? The question of identity resonated at both the personal and collective level. Kerry Jaeger and Raider Slayton argue that identity is formed through the interaction between self, other, and society and builds a bridge between the inside and the outside, the personal and the public world. They add that identity can be understood at three levels: the personal level, which relates to the self designations and attributes given to the self by the subject; the social level, which is seen as a basic human motivation that drives from interpersonal relations with others and memberships in larger organizations; and the collective level, which captures the sense of oneness or we-ness and includes a feeling of real or imagined shared attributes and experiences among those who are part of a group. Jaegers and Rader's propositions indicate that identity is multi-layered, and as such, efforts to promote identity require a series of activities aimed at satisfying those needs. The reconstitution of San Antonio Day focuses on the promotion of collective identity while also catering for the personal and social needs of an individual. The concentration on collective identity is coupled with the encouragement of community sentiments and place identity. A festival may be defined as the organization of a specific event with a minimum duration and a certain frequency over time. It is an intense production of cultural and social experiences summarized in a program of events. Festivals offer performances based on cultural and historical interests. It entails an effort of planning, consuming limited resources to produce a specific output aimed at catering for specific needs, both tangible and intangible. Devesa Fernandez argues that the value of a festival may be approached from a variety of standpoints, since for the artists and organizers directly involved, it constitutes the production of a cultural good in itself, whereas for those attending, it may provide a range of values: the aesthetic, enjoyment, entertainment, cognitive, as well as existence values related to its symbolic repercussions. Another day in San Antonio was a festival that was carefully planned to include an array of activities to cater for the social and identity needs of the people. I am going to first focus on looking at how the day promotes Maya identity. One of the central characteristics of the day is the incorporation of various dances in the day itself. We cannot forget the hoghead dance and la chatona dance, which are important historical components to this celebration. The hoghead dance, which is a sign of productivity, is a dance that is danced throughout the West and also northern and southern Belize. The hoghead dance is a sign of productivity, as I mentioned. The pig head implies wealth and health for the participants and the person donating the items needed for the dance. The pig head is cleaned, seasoned, wrapped with plantain leaves, and placed in a large bowl or buried underground to cook, as pibil. Once the head is ready, a special type of bread is baked to dress the head on a basket. The dance is traditionally done by two persons, one holding the hog head, usually by their right or left shoulder, and the second person dance around taunting the dancer, getting the hog head upset and shelling the corn. The second dance, which is the dance of La Chatona, on the other hand, is a celebration honoring Petrona, a joyous woman who is personified by a huge dolly mascot. Traditionally, a person would get into the mascot and dance. Men from the community would step up to dance with the doll. This tradition was adopted from neighboring Petén, and it quickly became a feature of the San Antonio Day celebrations. The dances are accompanied by live marimba, which evokes sentiments of belonging and collective identity. For many elders, the marimba music nostalgically makes them remember the past and the teachings and wisdoms of the ancestors. The performance of the dances and marimba celebrate identity, which informs community members of their tangible and intangible heritage. The celebration also entails a series of cultural games that are connected to my identity. Games such as the greasy pole, the greasy pig, corn shelling, corn grinding, palm leaf braiding, and peanut shelling celebrate particular aspects of life in Yucatec Maya communities. The games externalize Maya agricultural lifestyles and promote community spirit, entertainment, and connectedness. The celebration also showcases the display of many traditional foods, foods such as salado, handmade corn tortillas, bollos, tamales, all, which is the pig head, jute soup, and caldo remain the key traditional foods. The food domain also features Maya mestizo dishes such as relleno, escabeche, and chimole. The foods are evidence of the mixtures occurring in our communities and the composition of San Antonio. The farmers also take out their produce to sell at the festivity. This process also celebrates the identity of the community as an agricultural village. The Abdisa another beautiful day in San Antonio festivity also features a series of educational booths that share information on Maya identity and beliefs. To mention a few, four prominent booths are hosted by Dr. Terry Powis, who shares information on the archaeological findings in Pacpitun, a Maya archaeological site in San Antonio. The second booth is hosted by John Spenner, who shares information on his findings in Rio Frio. The third booth is hosted by Annabelle Ford, who shares information on El Pilar and Maya Forest Gardens. The educational booth share valuable information on the civilization and its relation to the modern Maya in San Antonio. It is a way to show Maya continuity and connect the villagers to their heritage and history. Another booth that is important is the one hosted by the San Antonio Women's Group. They demonstrate and share their knowledge on traditional embroidery, pottery making, and painting. The group is reviving tangible heritage and reconnecting people to their Maya identity and traditions. The different activities, coupled with the inclusion of the Maya language in the presentation of the program, promote the Yucatec Maya identity. It is difficult to assess the impact of the event, but its performative nature attracts locals and tourists. Despite the difficulty in assessing its outcome, it is clear that the event promotes identity and, in general, people are receptive to the ideas. The second goal of the event itself was to promote community, identity, and belongingness. The cultural organizers of the Abdisa Committee host a Facebook page that serves as a basis to promote the event and sponsors and also shares cultural and historical information. The page engages people from all ages with stories, events, photographs, characters, poems, and reflections on San Antonio. The page is an important tool to promote community and place identity. The photos, in particular, share not only who we are, but where are we, to create connectedness to the environment of San Antonio. The page allows the people to interact and discuss historical and cultural aspects of the community and provides a space for connectedness and belonging. Many people who interact on the page are also villagers of San Antonio. They like, comment, and share posts that they find interesting and inform them about their Maya identity and their community. The festival also engages the primary schools in San Antonio, Cristo Rey, and El Progreso. It organizes a model competition themed on agriculture and the protection of the environment. The children are tasked with creating 3D models that relate to traditional Maya agricultural practices and examine its sustainable aspects. Though the model also promotes identity, it focuses more on community and the collective responsibility for the mountains, water sources, and land. The information shared enables the students to also go into their household to talk about sustainable practices and community development. The cultural committee also hosts a football marathon called Don Wichin's Seven-a-side competition. The marathon is in honor of Mr. Luis Palencia, who was an outstanding player and promoter of the sport in San Antonio. The second sporting event is a bicycle race named Don Eligio Pante Race, bicycle race. The race takes place between San Antonio and Cristo Rey, with riders taking 4 laps between the villages. The total terrain covered is 56 miles, and the riders are challenged by the mountainous roads. The transit between the villages enables them to have a greater appreciation for the features of the community. It also promotes history and identity. It is done in honor of Don Eligio Panti, a Maya healer who became prominent for curing various diseases with medicinal herbs. The race brings awareness to his achievements and promotes the discussion of his legacy. In addition, the race also includes one rider from San Antonio, Mr. Angel Anastasio Zib, and Mr. Zib becomes a big symbol for San Antonio, particularly on this day. Before I conclude this presentation, I want to reiterate that this paper is not the result of an in-depth analysis. Rather, I only offer my reflections. This paper has argued that the Another Day in San Antonio festival is an effort to promote Maya identity and community in San Antonio, Cayo. Despite the many challenges and even some resistance, the cultural activists involved in the revival of the festival remain hopeful. In 2021, the event had to be held on a Facebook Live to keep it alive, and we keep adapting to changing circumstances. The festival, the process of fundraising, organizing, and delivering allows us to question the meanings attached to our community, and on the other hand, we provoke those thoughts in the rest of the community. Thank you.